Bueno, muy buenos días a todos los que se van conectando a esta sesión informativa o los que reviven esta información en nuestro canal de YouTube. Sean bienvenidos a esta sesión con la Universidad de York en Reino Unido. El día de hoy nos acompaña Nicola May, ella es la representante de esta institución y nos va a comentar información de utilidad, no solo sobre la oferta académica, perdón, sino también sobre los requisitos, proceso de admisión y ya el tema de acomodación, housing, cuando ustedes hagan sus estudios en Reino Unido. Mencionarles que tenemos un convenio con la Universidad de York, que en este caso les puede otorgar un 25% en el valor de su matrícula, un 25% de descuento, y para poder acceder a ese beneficio deben postularse al crédito beca, cuya convocatoria abre el próximo 9 de enero del 2024 y cerrará el 29 de febrero. Así que tienen ese plazo de tiempo para postularse a futuro con alguno de los programas de York y en caso de ser seleccionados por nosotros, la universidad va a poder otorgarles este beneficio del descuento. Así que sin más introducción, thank you so much, Nicola, for being here, and you can go ahead and start the presentation.
Thank you very much. Well, welcome to everybody that's attending, and thank you very much for joining. I know it's about 10 o'clock where you are, so early morning, just started. For me, it's about 4 p.m. I'm just going to start by sharing my screen just so you can see my presentation. There is an option for you to be able to put any questions in the chat. I understand as well, and I'm sorry to say that I only speak English, so if at any point I say anything where you'd like me to go over it, please do put it in the chat and I will do so. And this will just allow for me to do this presentation and then have about 15-20 minutes to answer any questions you may have. So hopefully you can see my lovely screen showing a beautiful part of the University of York. I work within the International Recruitment and Mobility team, so I support with inquiries and applications coming to the university. And just going into a tiny bit about the location before we break down and go into the university itself, the courses that are available, and all the other facilities that you can expect to receive whilst you're here. So I don't know how familiar you may be with York. It's a beautiful place. It's in the heart of the UK. I think it's a bit of a hidden gem. So I think until you actually visit and see the green campus, which is there's only one of 8 kind of like large green all campuses available in the UK, and we're one of those. We are very closely located to a lot of transport links. So say for example, you're flying in and landing at Manchester Airport, it would only take you just over an hour to reach us. And it's amazing the difference when you arrive. You go from this big city environment and you go into York and it's this beautiful historic town. There's so much history, but it's also quite contemporary. So it's a lovely place to visit and see. We're also very closely located to other major airport terminals. You can get to London in less than 2 hours by direct train. You can also travel up to Scotland and Edinburgh in a few hours. It's very, very easy. So as much as it's quite a small city, it's also really closely connected to all the major cities. So you can kind of like include some of these things when you're doing your planning for living and staying in York. So just to go into a tiny bit of the achievements. So as you may already be aware, the University of York is a Russell Group institution. That means that we come up very highly with our research and innovation. So you'll find that whilst you're at the university, the academics that you're working with are heavily involved in research. They may still already continue to be employed in the kind of research fields that they're working in, as well as being academics. So they'll be doing papers and research topics whilst they're studying. This enables them to bring that academic excellence into what they're teaching you. So you'll find that you're being taught by really professional and highly skilled academic staff. We are an international campus. We welcome over 22,000 students across the year, going from undergraduate to PhD. But you'll also notice if you're on campus, it won't feel like there's that many students. It's such a large space that it never feels overwhelming. So that's a really nice touch of being on a large green campus. Going further into some of the other accolades that we've received. So recently we've been shortlisted for Good University of the Year twice, which is a fantastic accolade because that's looking at the academic, the environment, the teaching, the societies, everything that you can think of that goes into being a good university experience. And we're receiving really good awards for. So it's definitely another thing to look at when you're considering your places of study. We've also received the Gold for Teaching Excellence Framework. So that ranks obviously gold, silver, bronze. I think a nice feature of the TEF is that it doesn't just look at graduate experience, it looks at student experience throughout their years of study. So it's a great way of knowing how the students are doing, not just finding out feedback from students who've graduated and then gone into employment, because you're obviously going to get quite high feedback. So this gives you the chance to kind of understand that even whilst the students are studying with us, they're still getting that excellence in teaching and still feel quite confident going into their next years. So going into the Colfuturo bit, you may have already done your research. You may already know the kinds of courses that you would like to opt to apply for. But these are the ones that are covered that you can also go for. So there's a range here going from law, health sciences, economics, there's education and linguistics, political and social policy, environment and geography, TV and film production with music technology, archaeology, history of arts, and as you can see at the bottom, the English literature. So I won't go any further into each individual course, but I'll just give you an overall subject ranking because we've got quite a few of ours that are ranked within the top 10. So again, this is feeding back to the research and innovation, the feedback from the students, the feedback from the academics, the rate of further employment. So we have a very high rate of percentage of students that go into employment after graduation. I think that's important to look at as well because you obviously want to know that this qualification will make you employer ready and know that the skills that you gain will mean that you can go into the workforce and be successful. So a lot of these compile the subject rankings and we do very well, and we have quite a number of faculties and departments that are ranked above top 10. And then this is QS. QS has probably taken the world by storm over the last few years. It's a really popular assessment tool that we have that probably all universities and all students across the world will use. So this is looking at the world subject rankings, and we do very well in archaeology and forensic studies, history, education, etc. So again, it's another assessment tool that just shows how well the quality of the course is. So I'm going to look now a bit about applying to York. So as a applicant, you would apply directly to the university. So some of you may be familiar with UCAS as an application process. That's for predominantly undergraduate study. So yourself, you'd be able to apply directly to the university. We would like to see your bachelor's degree transcripts and certificates, and also official translations as required. We've got the 2-1 equivalency here, and we've also got the 2-2 equivalency. Have a look at the university course pages. That will be able to tell you what the acceptance rate is and what we look at, whether it's a 2-1 and it's quite strict, or whether there's some flexibility and we'll look at a 2-2. So either a 3.75 or a 3.25. So we do have, I would say for 2024, quite a few of our courses have got a lot more flexibility to them. So if you're currently studying and you're wondering, okay, I'm not quite meeting that 3.75, I'd still go ahead and maybe speak to me for further information. I can put you in touch with the academics. So don't feel like this is your only source of information, having this conversation with me now. We can go forward and have further communications, and you can speak to faculty. They're quite a friendly teams. They're very open to speaking to students. This is our range of English language requirements. We've tried to encapsulate everything that we do accept, but there's obviously variations to what people are taking and what tests are taking. So the most popular, as everybody's probably quite familiar with, is the IELTS academic or indicator test. Usually the results are overall 6.0 to 7.0. So that's usually like a 7.0 overall, 6.0 in each component. We accept the Duolingo. We accept Cambridge, we accept the C1 or C2 proficiency, PTE academic. And we also, and this is something that I am going to mention in this presentation, but I will, for clarity, say that it's not an inexhaustible option. But for any of you that are looking at applying for the Colfuturo and would like to also potentially be taking an English test and are not sure about the fee amount, because I know IELTS can be quite costly, we do, as the university, have Duolingo vouchers for students to be able to take the Duo test, and we will then be able to give you a voucher, which means you don't have to make a payment. And I think IELTS obviously is a very well respected and very good English proficiency test, but the Duolingo is also something that is really kind of changing and becoming quite a modern and very good assessor of English ability. Also, there's a faster response time for results. So I believe that with the IELTS, it's 3 to 5 working days. With the Duolingo, you can have it in about 12 hours. And I believe that they are starting to build, as well as having like tests, practice tests and things like that, they're starting to build like pre-English assessments so that you can kind of know what grade you already are at, so then you can look at what you're going to achieve. So this is something that's available to offer holders in certain circumstances, but it's worth bearing that in mind if you are looking at English proficiency and it's something you've still got to complete at this moment. It's something that we may be able to help you with. So please do get in touch and we can discuss that further. So I've broken down the fees amount for the university, and this would be for a 1 year postgraduate course. I've added the 25% discount and then converted to the US dollar as well to hopefully try and make that as clear as possible. But as you can see, the classroom-based learning is slightly less than the laboratory-based learning. Our finance degrees are a tiny bit higher based on the professional accreditation attached to them. And just to give you a full breakdown of the full fee amount and the discounted amount. So this session is being recorded, so please don't feel that you have to get this written down or anything very quickly. We can definitely share this with you so you can really look over it as and when you need to. So let's go to some fun bits. The accommodation. So postgraduate students, we have a separate accommodation block dedicated to you only. So it means that you could just be with fellow postgraduate students. It's based on like an application. So as soon as you apply to the university, you are eligible to apply for accommodation straight away. And we do not ask for a deposit until your offer has been fully confirmed and made unconditional, and you've decided you definitely want to pick student accommodation. So don't feel the financial pressure of if I apply for accommodation, am I locked into paying anything? You can definitely do that at a later date. If you decided to pick other accommodations, that's fine. We've got six different accommodations on campus. So they're all closely located to the buildings. You would not be expected to travel too far. But it can also help you if you're looking at off-site. So if you're thinking, I'd like to go private accommodation, we can give you guidance and support with that as well. So the estimated costs on campus for the postgraduate talk, 50 weeks, as you can see the breakdown there. That is the overall fee, and then below is the rent per week, so that just gives you a breakdown. You'll see there's quite a difference in amount, and that is based on the banding. So before I go into that, first of all of the rooms at York do come with heating, electricity and water, contents insurance, 24-hour security, so you need your student card to be able to get in and out of the buildings. You get Wi-Fi all over the campus, and I myself know this because I use the same Wi-Fi. It works in the city as well. So certain areas where you'd be able to use your Wi-Fi in York City. There's a shared kitchen. If you go for just opting for a room, there's a shared bathroom that's cleaned by cleaners. And then also the kitchen is regularly cleaned by cleaners as well as you just keeping it clean yourselves. But you can go for an ensuite room. So that's where the cost starts changing. So we've got it bands 1, 2, as you can see going along the bottom. You can opt for catered or self-catered, depending on what your needs are. So these are the kind of, would you like to pick a shared bathroom? You still have your own wash basin in your room. You'd be able to lock the bathroom facilities whilst you're using them because you won't be sharing them at the same time. It just means that multiple people will be able to use them at different times. An ensuite room is like almost like a small bathroom area inside the room, and then cleaning would be your responsibility. So those are differentiations. And again, catered or self-catered. This allows for some students who may feel that doing all these additional things like cooking meals is just not what they want to do. So you get the option to have breakfast and dinner. Then you can get lunch on campus. Or you can go for self-catered, and that just means getting your own meals and things like that. And also as well, with the room breakdowns, the bands, the price goes up based on different amenities and what's available in the rooms and what's available as part of the accommodation block. But I would like to say that each accommodation block comes with its own societies and clubs. So even though we have a like a students' union and availability for 200 plus different societies and sports clubs. Whilst you're in the accommodation, there's also the option to join littler ones as well. So they'll do like things like cooking clubs, film nights. They've got dance groups, they've got sports clubs, book clubs, things like that. But then there's also the option of joining some of the large university-wide student societies, which there's every sport you can think of. We've even got Quidditch, so we have pretty much everything. We've got music facilities, we've got a performance hall, so some of our students may be in choirs or bands, and they've got their own large space to either practice or perform. We've got multiple indoor and outdoor facilities with football pitches, as you can see where the students are doing the cheerleading at the top right corner. Then we've also got faith-based societies for students to be able to join, and sports opportunities. So as you can see, obviously with York, we've got the river running right through. So the rowing, which you can see in the top right image, is probably the most popular. We have quite a few rowing groups. We have archery, we've got basketball with indoor courts, and we've got different footballs and netball, hockey, pretty much everything, as I said. We've also got two different gyms. So for students who are studying with us, they can opt for the smaller gyms, which has got all the facilities that you need. But then you can also look at the village, which is a larger, more modern facility. That actually does come with a swimming pool and spa, which I've yet to see in another university. So that's pretty cool. And we've also got the running tracks and the place for people to be able to cycle as well. So York is probably, I've travelled all over the world, luckily, with my job. I've been very lucky. And I probably would say York is one of the most beautiful places that I've been to. That's the York Minster. It's such a historical, huge kind of dedication to York that you'll see as soon as you walk into York. If you're looking in any direction, you will see the Minster wherever you kind of, when you look towards it, because it stands head and shoulders over everything else. It's a really historical, lovely place to visit, but it's also got a lot of contemporary and modern things that are available for you to do. So you can blend going and walking around the walls of York with like a tour of the museums and galleries. And then you can go to places where they've got different foods from all over the world, places to get different drinks from all over the world. Loads of really cool things. For example, we're quite famous for our Vikings. We have like Viking weeks. And we've got the huge Christmas fair that's coming soon. So that's going to be the Christmas market. We've just finished having a food festival. In spring, we have an ice sculpture tour where people actually sculpt these amazing ice sculptures, and you can go walking around finding each one hidden. They've got Ghosts of York at the moment because of Halloween. So there's people have built almost like man-made ghosts that you can go walking around trying to find. So there's always something happening because it's quite a tourist city. As much as you would be a student here, you don't feel like you're too overwhelmed with students. There's still the opportunity for you to be able to see lots of different things and be part of the kind of the town, really. I will mention as well, York is voted the second safest city in the UK. It's a really nice place to be, and there's never a time during the evening or the day where you wouldn't feel quite safe walking around. And I think I've covered quite a lot of the different events we have, but we do have a theatre, we have an opera house, we've also got multiple cinemas, we've got art museums as well. So really, hopefully, every kind of interest is catered for. And as well as those different things, I think I mentioned earlier about the different groups that you can join as a university student, but I think it's worth mentioning we do get fantastic reviews from students about the academic and wellbeing support that we offer at the university. So not only do you have opportunities to speak with academics, you've got international advisors, we've got the international visa support team. They're there for you, even if it's just a query about what you can do post-study or what you can do whilst you're, if you're wanting to travel. So they're not only there if anything was to go wrong with your visa, they do a lot of like positive things as well. You've got department representatives and welfare support. So these would be the student hub, where if you've got any concerns, maybe it's something to do with your coursework, maybe something outside of your coursework, they can respond to you quite quickly and arrange an appointment to speak with you. As a lot of universities do, we also have like pre-departure briefings for those that are preparing to travel and study with us. We do a collection service from the airport when it's leading up to the enrolment period. So we really try and make sure that from the moment that you apply, that you're considered a University of York student right until you graduate. And even post graduation, we have a alumni team that would be able to be with you and keep you connected to York, so that you really feel like you are a student for life. I think we're a bit behind. The American system seems to have really got this at the moment, that you're a university student for life, and you could travel all over the world and still send out a message and say to anybody that's a graduate from York University, and be able to meet and have a coffee and talk to somebody who's gone through the same experiences as you. And these are the kind of things that we're really keen to keep developing, which is what we're working on at the moment. And this is just my final slide, but I'm more than happy to go over a few more things, any other questions. The QR code would allow you to register for any events. We do a lot of, as I mentioned, the pre-departure briefings. We also do the online webinars for people who are applying to courses, so we can help you with the application. I myself have got opportunities to meet with you either WhatsApp. You can also use Booked In, so that allows you to do individual appointments. So if you're just wanting a one-to-one, the opportunity's there as well. But hopefully I've given a really nice overview of York. Really would like to welcome some of your questions, because that's how I learn. So please, any questions, please ask. And I will stop sharing my screen now.
Good. So first of all, thank you so much, Nicola, for all the information and for the presentations. I do not have questions from the Zoom meeting, but I do have questions from social media. So
Yeah.
the most frequent one is about the work like experience in UK. So the question is like, how easy or how difficult is to get a job once they finish the master's degree in UK?
I mean, I would say I'm going to be very honest, because I think that a lot of employers are looking for not only the qualification, but also the experience that the student has. There is a very high percentage of our students that do go into either employment or higher education, like PhD and research, for example. That's around 93%. But what I would recommend is that we have a fantastic careers team. And also for any students that are looking at the law courses, because law is slightly different to the general employer inquiries, they've got a dedicated career space for that. So if you're looking at practicing law and you want to know how you can convert that qualification into a relevant way to be able to practice law in whatever country you decide to do so, they can help with that. And they developed quite a good program. It's called problem-based learning, which enables students to do real-world problems, so that then when they do graduate, they are graduating with as close to up-to-date skills as you can have. I think then also taking advantage of the careers team, making sure that they're supporting you. It can be something so small like how to prepare for an interview. And I think, as obviously I'm speaking to master's level potentially students, I'm not thinking that you're not going to have an idea of how this already works anyway. You probably do have LinkedIn profiles and professional profiles. It's continuing to build on them. There's the opportunities in some courses to do internships. It's not in every one of them, but just have a look at the modules that you'd be studying to see which option. So there might be the opportunity to do an internship. We do work with quite a lot of companies, things like Range Rover. We've got some experience with that in our renewable energy. We work with like Samsung and these different technology companies. So I would say that if you were to go into the qualification, speak with careers early on, start building that professional side of your skill set, then going into employment will probably feel like a good, easy step and progression. Also, not to mention that when you're applying for a role, it doesn't happen that quickly. You go through the application process and you go through the interview process. If you're doing that earlier on, there's a bigger chance of you walking into a career as soon as you graduate. But if you were to kind of say leave that to like the last few weeks of your course, that's where you might struggle. So I think if you are to be proactive, you'll probably find that these opportunities will be a lot more vast, and you'll have a lot more opportunities.
Yes, thank you. And the second question I have is regarding the cost of living in UK. So maybe you can give us an estimate of the cost of living.
Yeah, actually, we do have a breakdown that on our website. So let me just see if I can find the postgraduate student version, because I do understand budgeting can be quite difficult, and like how much it costs. So if you were to budget, the UK living wage equates to £1,500 per month. That's the average amount that people are expected to kind of live off. So if you're to be paying your like living sorry your rental costs and things like that, then you probably after at that point looking at how much it costs to pay for food, toiletries, clothes, travel, books and stationery, those sort of things. So I'll put this link in the chat because this is a really nice breakdown of, first of all, how much the kind of costs are. Oh, actually, I might just put that in post and channel list. Let me just see if I can put that into the Q&A section. See if I can do that in a moment. I just want to be able to put it into for everyone. Let me just do. I don't think I can, so I might have to send you the link and then forward it on afterwards because I think this only restricts me to put in into the panelists chat.
Yeah, I already do it for everyone. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's great. So this gives a breakdown of like the general food costs, travel costs potentially. Would like to mention as well, whilst you're on the University of York campus, we have a free bus service that will transport you around the campus. That doesn't cost anything. And then if you were to travel into the centre, you can walk in 20 minutes. You could cycle in about 10-15 minutes easily, maybe even less actually if you're a bit faster. And if you decide to go for the bus, it's only about £2. So we are quite good at minimising costs. We do have a lot of options for students. So if we have a student that's facing some sort of hardship, we do have a hardship fund that students can apply for, which would give a small amount of money. We can potentially help with providing the laptops if students are in need and they don't have the finances available to do that. We can also offer support with like the books, so you're not buying like brand new books, you may be buying secondhand, but it cuts the cost there. So there's different things that might be able to help. And this guidance that you've put the link in the chat for will just give a really good breakdown of all those different things.
Yeah, thank you. And the next question is about letter of recommendation. They want to know if they have to present this document for the application.
Yes, so we usually, if the student is a recent graduate, we would ask for academic references. So as part of the application, you have to provide referee details. This is usually their email address and their name. What we tend to do is we'll do a full assessment based on the academic documents and the personal statement that's provided. And then if we need references, we can then send the request for references. But if the student already has references at the point of application, they can just attach them as a supporting document.
Okay, good. And the last question is if you can give us a piece of advice, like how to get successful admission process.
Yeah, I think definitely, obviously, applying well before the deadline. So most of our courses, let me just see if I can find the course deadline so I can put this in the chat because just want to make sure that we might have them available. Just give me a second. Yeah, so for pretty much all the courses that we've just discussed, the application deadline is the 31st of July. So as much as that's great, I probably would, for the sake of making sure you don't have any delays with your visas or anything, I'd probably be applying about a month or two before that. So let's just say, for sake of argument, apply by April. You don't necessarily have to have graduated before you apply. We can provide conditional offers, which would be based on you providing your results when you receive them. So we would want you to have your academic transcripts and certificate if you've graduated. If you're still studying, just your just maybe like the online transcripts that you have that show what you've been studying, that will be suitable. We'd like to also see a personal statement. This is usually outlining the reasons for study, the strengths that you have, and what you hope to do post graduation. So falls into the similar category of your reasons for study, but more what you're looking to do once you finish. Again, you don't have to have your English proficiency at the time of application. So don't worry about that if you're worrying about how am I going to get to an IELTS test centre or something. I know that can be quite difficult to do sometimes when it's busy. And then once we receive the application, our postgraduate admissions team, we've got each department has its own admissions like academic liaison. So they will assess the application and make a decision. They usually do that within about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So that's how long the turnaround time is. And then Once we have made the decision, then you know what you need to work on. So if it's conditional, you may need to know that you have to provide IELTS or academic documents. Or if it's unconditional, then it's then for you to start preparing for your study. But this is where we would come in with our pre-departure workshops, our offer holder events. We're also creating WhatsApp groups, so it gives you a chance to chat to us. So that would help probably post application once you've got your offer. But if you're coming to the point of application and you're a little bit unsure and you're thinking, okay, I'd just like to get some guidance, then just please get in touch with me. I've got WhatsApp, I've got booked in. We can just chat about it one to one and then just make sure that you've got everything that you need to apply, really. And we don't charge an application fee either. We'd only be looking at deposits and things like that post that. This is when you're going to be making your offer unconditional and you're definitely deciding you want to continue your study with us.
Yes, thank you. Then we have a question from Luis. I don't know if you can check the Q&A, and that's the question of Luis.
Let's have a look. Oh, yes. Okay, so if you were looking at a doctorate or a PhD research thing kind of qualification, you do have to have a specific subject area. So the application process for that is slightly different to masters. You would have to reach out to an academic supervisor, provide them with your proposal of what you would like to be supported with, and then they would be able to assess if they could confirm that they can cover and support you. Once that's confirmed, then you submit an application. So it's almost like it's a tiny bit in reverse. I I think the master's bit that they're mentioning there, that one's a bit too difficult to answer without having a look properly. If there's a subject that they can find at the doctorate level, then it might mean that they can continue, but it just depends on whether we've got that relevant subject and also that relevant supervisor who can support. So hopefully I've answered that one there.
Yes, thank you. So I guess we don't have more questions. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for the presentation. And I don't know if you can share with us your email or your contact email in case they have more questions after the presentation.
Yeah, definitely. Would you like me to just put it in the chat or?
Yeah, you can put it in the chat. Yes.
If you put it in the chat, then you can copy and paste and add it to the group thing. Another nice thing as well that I'll just mention before we go, we've got a fantastic virtual tour which you can actually get as an app. So if you're wanting to see the University of York, we've got a You at York app on the university website. You can download it on iPhone or Android, and it means you can get an interactive tour with student ambassadors. They can show you around the campus, and it's a bit more interactive than just looking at like a map on a screen. That's a really nice way of being able to view the campus if you can't get to us. But as well, sorry, I will finish talking in a moment. If anybody is travelling to the UK and would like to visit, please let us know. We can arrange for an ambassador tour. You can meet with myself, and I can also arrange for one of the academic advisors to meet with the students as well.
Yeah, so thanks for that information. That will be all for today. So thanks for all the assistance, and we hope everyone has a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. See you later. Bye.